Chapter 7 talks about plot styles, templates, and using layout space. In the first couple of assignments that we had, we actually used this layout one, so we'll go back to it and pick up a few more details. But let's start with the idea of plot styles. There are two different types of plot styles. One is a color-dependent plot style, and one is a named plot style. And basically what it means is that when you print, you have a choice of setting up your lines so that the properties are based on the color or a specific named style. So here in the default AutoCAD template file, you can see here under the layers that the plot style says, and I'll just create another layer so you can see it, color 7. That means that when you see color 7, you know that you can set up that layer so that it has different properties. And where you see that is when you start to print. So over here in the printing dialog box, and this is all for you to understand the concept. When you print, and most of you are familiar with printing, you've been in this dialog box before, and we're not going to set up the dialog box. What I want to concentrate on is right here in the upper right hand corner. When we print a black and white basic plot, we want to use monochrome CTB. If we don't use monochrome CTB and we use none, then what AutoCAD does is take the colors and try to print them to whatever your printer is. If your printer is a black and white printer and you're printing a yellow line, it's going to be grayed out. So use monochrome CTB for your black and white prints. I would suggest using AutoCAD CTB for your color prints, although none is good too. So once you drop this list down, you'll see that the file extension for the color dependent plot style is CTB. And so if I change this to monochrome, I pick yes because it's just asking me if I want to assign it to the layouts down here. There's a little icon next to monochrome CTB. You can click on that, and you can see that in the monochrome CTB plot style, all of these colors are going to print black. And that's what's going on here, is that the properties of this monochrome CTB are set up so that all the colors print black. But look at all these other options that you can have. You can change the line weight so that if you create your own plot style, you can set up the color 1, which is red, to print a line weight that's very bold, so that your company standard might be that anyone who uses the color red in any of the layers will be printing a very bold line. Okay, let's go back. If I drop this list down of plot style tables and I pick new, I can start from scratch and pick next, and then I can type in here my name and then pick next. But companies would have a company name like GM or whatever the company name is here, or if you have your own office, you can make it up to say that that's based on whatever projects you're working on. I'm going to go ahead and pick next and then pick finish, because this basically just says you're going to use it for this file. So now you created your own pen assignments, but again, these are color dependent. So if I pick here this icon again, you'll see that in my own plot style table that I created, it goes back to using the object's color. So each one of these colors will actually be printed in a specific color. So this is a powerful tool if, for instance, you'd like to highlight all the colors. I'm going to highlight color 2, scroll all the way down, hold my shift key down and press here color 255. So all of these might use the color black. Okay, so now all of these are using the color black, but this one, color 1, is using the object's color. So why don't you go ahead and create your own CTB file, use your name there, and create it so that everything is going to print black, except color 1 is going to use the object's color, which means it's going to print red. And then again, you can change the line weight to something like 0.5 or 6.6, which will give you a real bold red color. Okay, this is a color CTB color dependent plot style. I'm going to go ahead and pick save and close. It'll save right into your folder where all your other plot styles are. And then under plot options, you'll make sure that the check mark is plot with plot styles, which is what we're doing anyways. And then you can cancel out of this dialog box because you'll still have your pen assignments that are created. So that was about a color dependent plot style, and I like the CTB files myself. If you wanted to create one, maybe you accidentally use one of the template files and you end up with named plot styles, you're not using color in your named plot style. You're naming the property like heavy lines or light lines. And so let's take a look at some of those. If you go to the big application menu at the top left and go down to print and over to manage plot styles, you'll see that first of all it'll show you where they're located. It's pretty far down in the line of folders. Here it is right up here at the top, but this is where your plot styles are, and you'll see that some are named CTB extension and some have an STB extension. You see there's an AutoCAD CTB right here, which is the one we were looking at, and if you double click on it, you can go to the Form View tab and see exactly what we were looking at before. If you double click on the AutoCAD STB file and you go to the Form View tab, you see the difference? There's a big difference here. The difference is that the Form View properties, I'll just show both of these, in the STB file are not by color, but they're by name. So I could, here in the AutoCAD STB file, the normal is by default, but I could add a style. So I'm going to go ahead and add a style. This is the main AutoCAD STB file, so I'm actually changing it. It's okay, I'll just go ahead and put here bold line. And you can name it whatever you'd like when you start to develop your standards. So there's a bold line. It could be a light line, bold line, new work, existing work. So go ahead and pick OK. And then for that bold line plot style, see the difference? Instead of using color, I'm going to make the bold line print in black. And I'm going to also, because it's called bold line, make this a 0.6 or 7, depending on the size of your project. I'll go ahead and make it 0.6. So now you are developing specific names that you can decide on that link the properties to that name. Let's go ahead and pick save and close, and I'll go ahead and close out of this here. I didn't make any changes to this one, so I'll just pick no because I didn't want to change the AutoCAD CTB file. I changed the AutoCAD STB file. I just added a name called bold. I made it black and I changed it to 0.6 or 7. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. Now, because we already started this file, it's already going to be color dependent. So when they're talking in the book chapter, they're saying that you can set it up so the next file that you create is going to be an STB file. And there are different ways of changing files from CTB to STB, and that gets into some of the migration tools. So we can right click and go to options, or type in options at the command line, and then go to plot and publish tab And down there at the bottom right corner, you can pick on plot style table settings. This is where at the top of this dialog box, you can change the default plot style behavior for new drawings to use named plot styles. I don't use these. Maybe other people do because it is an option. You know that we have a lot of choices in AutoCAD. I think the color dependent plot styles have been with us since way back. The named plot styles do seem appealing, but in order for you to create a standard that's good for your company, you would have to use the very same one so that everyone uses the same setup so that you get consistency across your company. So you pick in front of use named plot style. Then where it says default plot style table, none, let's change that to AutoCAD STB. That will give us the default as a named plot style. And pick OK, and then pick OK again. Now nothing's going to happen to this one. The book will show you here that you can click on this properties palette and see it's still by color here. Nothing will happen to this file.
But the new file that you create will be created as a named plot style. Now also the book uses a different startup than what comes out of the box with AutoCAD. So some of you have just installed AutoCAD. When you start a brand new drawing, you will select a template. Well, this makes our life a lot easier if we're going to go from a AutoCAD DWT, which is a color dependent template, or use this AutoCAD named plot style. So you wouldn't even have to go to options to change the default for the next new file. Just select this template. But the book, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this, has a different startup dialog box. If you did start a brand new drawing and you did get this template, what we could do is to change it is to type in all one word start up. Let's do that in the command line there. Just type in start up, all one word, STARTUP, and enter. And notice that the value is 0. If the value is 0, then you're using the AutoCAD out of the box, just purchased it, dialog box that will have that list of templates that you can use. And you can even create your own template just by opening a file and saving it as a template, saving it as a DWT file. But here it's 0. So if I type in 1 and then I pick enter, and now I start a brand new drawing. When I start a brand new drawing, and you can go to the application menu and go to new and drawing, or you can click on this little sheet of paper there. You'll see the difference when you type in startup and you change it from 0 to 1. You'll get this dialog box, which is used extensively in the book and sometimes by different professors. It's not what you'll see by default when you first load AutoCAD as a free download for students or purchase it. So whichever way you'd like to use, the book uses this way. You can pick here start from scratch, use the imperial feet and inches, and when you pick OK, then when you start a brand new drawing, it will have the STB named plot style because we went into options and changed those settings for the next new one to have that default. To bypass all of that, if you'd like, you can type in startup at the command line, make sure it's 0, and then when you start a brand new drawing, I'll just do this again just to show you. Start up. And actually you can use the arrow keys if you typed in something. I'm going to escape out of that. If you typed in something in your command line and you know that you typed it in 2 or 3 commands before, you can use the arrow keys to get back to it and then press enter. And this is 1, so I'm going to go ahead and type in 0 and enter. And now when I start a brand new drawing, I get a different dialog box. I'll go back to selecting the template. Instead of using AutoCAD DWT, I would then use AutoCAD named plot style .dwt. That's the one we want. Okay, so I used the start from scratch that they're talking about in this chapter. And now when you go to properties, it'll say by layer. And when you go to the layer settings, there it is. Instead of seeing the color 7, now for the plot style, we see normal. And if you click on the word normal, it will bring you to that list of plot styles that we looked at when we were managing our plot styles. We went into the AutoCAD STB and we added this bold line. So now for layer 0, which I don't think they use layer 0, no, so we'll practice with it a little bit, and I'll be able to check your drawing to see if you did this. You can highlight bold line and pick OK. And now that layer 0 has a bold line. It's current, so I'm going to go ahead and close out of this. And in the drawing, if I start the line command and I pick 2 points here, click, click, right click, enter, the line doesn't look like it's bold. And you won't see that it's bold until you print preview or use layouts. Later on we'll talk about using layouts because the layouts actually become your print preview. So, or can become. I'll show you the tool to use for that. So when we will see it is when we print. So if we go up to the application menu and go to print and plot, or you can just pick this little plotter printer icon up here in the quick access toolbar, it's called. And in the plot dialog box, change your plotter to whatever plotter that you're using. Once you do that, first you'll see that the plot style table that we're using is the AutoCAD STB. And if I go ahead and pick preview, because I'm going to just go ahead and pick the display, you'll see here that that bold line is going to show in the plot preview. Okay, just wanted to show you. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this, and I will erase this line. Okay, so now we're ready, and basically this video talked to you about plot styles, the difference between color plot style and named plot style. You can see that one is based on the color, a name that's going to be color, like color 1 for red, with properties that are attached to it, or it's going to have a name like bold line, and then it's going to have properties attached to that. That would be maybe a line weight that's bolder. And you can start a brand new drawing using the different templates, the AutoCAD.dwt, which is actually the default here, using color dependent plot styles, or you can change it to named plot styles DWT here, and then you're ready to set up your drawing. In the book, in this assignment, we're going to go to the second video and start to set up your grids, your snaps, your layers, and then start drawing the assignment, and later on take a look at how to set it up with layouts. The layout 1 down here at the bottom, like we did in the previous assignments. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.